It's the weekly show with David J. Maloney. This week, David talks to me, radio DJ and announcer Johnna Farmer, and TV personality and actor Jonathan Brannan with a new edition of David's Tips, and our special musical performers for the month, Tyler Livingston and the Absolutes. Now, here's your host, David J. Maloney.
Welcome to everyone at home and in our studio audience to The Weekly Show. I am your host, David J. Maloney. To my right, filling in for the Mogiles, it's Tyler Livingston and the Absolutes. I'd like to express a special thanks to AA Productions for coming in on short notice when the Mogiles could make it. Normally they do their own sound production, but AA Productions came in and filled in for them like on no notice, and I really want to give a special shout out for them. Thank you very much. NFL football is back. At least 13 NFL players have been arrested since the last Super Bowl. The league has so many criminals now that football cards include front and side views. According to a new poll, 63% of Democrats are not running for president. In Locust Grove, Oklahoma, a family's iguana was recaptured at the public library. When reached for comment, the librarian said, "Shh." A Florida woman recently reported that her toilet exploded when lightning struck her septic tank. The joke wasn't done yet. The good news is that she's no longer constipated. If you've never seen The Weekly Show before, keep watching. We typically feature one local guest, someone who you'd like to know more about, or maybe you already know something about, and then often one big name guest. If you haven't noticed, we will have a new announcer, my good friend whose face you may not recognize, but voice you probably do, from WABD, iHeartRadio, and 95 KSJ, it's Johnna Farmer. She will be our first formal guest tonight, as well as my trusty sidekick for the next few shows. After that, we'll have another David's Tips segment, sponsored by, of course, Maloney Lions, which will cover what to do if you are in an automobile accident. We'll cap the night off with an interview with magnificent local TV personality, Jonathan Brannan. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Up first on tonight's show is Ms. Johnna Farmer. You may not know her face, but you certainly know her voice. From WABD iHeartRadio and 95 KSJ, it's Johnna Farmer.
Make myself comfy. Is that okay?
Yeah, well, and hopefully you'll be making yourself comfy for a few more shows. Huh?
I'm excited. Yeah, really excited.
So you're on the radio now, but you weren't. I mean, just a few years ago. Tell us your story. How did all that come about?
Right. So I actually won my first radio job. It was a YouTube competition for the next Morning Girl. About 500 girls on the Gulf Coast. The video is still on YouTube, by the way, because I don't know the password to take it down. So you're welcome for that. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so I was in radio for about a year and a half, then took a break, went to Austell in Mobile and worked in marketing there for quite a while between Mobile and Washington, D.C. Got a call to come back in radio, and sometimes you just have a calling. And now here I am.
What was radio something that you always wanted to do? Or in other words, when you would be driving down the car and you say, I know I can do that? I mean, because there are things that I've thought about that I was like, I know I can do that. I want to do that someday.
I always felt connected with entertainment. I've been a jokester and an entertainer my entire life. And yes, I would argue with people on the radio and say, that's not how you pronounce that name, or that's not where she got her start. So when I heard this ad for the new Morning Girl, I just figured, why not give it a shot? It would be fun, and I might actually be okay at it. So it's all about taking a risk, and turns out taking that one risk led me to a calling. As
Wayne Gretzky said, 100% of the shots you don't take do not go in.
Yes.
How many stations are you on currently now?
Currently 3. So I am on K99 Country in Biloxi every day, 10 to 3. I am on 95 KSJ every day before that show in the morning. And then Mix 99.9, which is our at-work station, family-friendly, on the weekends.
What would you say is probably your favorite aspect about being on the air?
The people. I love interacting with listeners, mostly because they're honest for the most part over social media. So sometimes a while back, people were hesitant to call the radio stations because they didn't want their voice necessarily being recognized. And now with social media being such a tool, people are more active and respond more honestly. And I've formed relationships with people through radio via social media. One girl I met when she was 17 years old and in high school. I'm going to her baby shower next weekend. Like, we just formed a relationship. She was a listener and I was on the air, and I like the people. That's the best part about it.
Do you find that you get recognized by your voice alone? Like, are you in a place and you go to, like, you're in Walmart paying for something and you say thank you or something, and they go, hold on, I can't place you, but they recognize the voice, maybe not the face?
Absolutely. No one knows my face. No one knows what I look like, unless they've seen me on social media, which I'm very active on. But for the most part, I'll just, be in the grocery store and ask a question, and someone will say, where do I know you from? Just that odd feeling that you've met before, but you can't place it. And I don't talk about it unless I'm asked. I never use, I'm Johnna from the radio. Like, not my thing. But it happens.
What would you say is probably one of the craziest stories from being on the air that you remember?
From being on the air?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mispronounce things every single day. People call me out on it. Like yesterday, I said Canada instead of Canada just because I was rambling. But I don't know. Being on the air, I guess interviewing people that I never thought I would interview. John Mayer's the love of my life, and I got to, interact with him and really embarrass myself in that conversation. He didn't know. He asked what my name was. And I froze and said, Johnna, like your name, but with "na." So that was my dorkiest moment for sure.
You've been really vocal about your fight against the stigmas in mental health.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I have a 12-year-old little girl, and I have, for the first time in my life, become very comfortable with talking about anxiety and depression. And I've left jobs before because of it, but never spoke to people about what was happening. And it took a lot for me to get where I am now. And through a lot of therapy and open conversations, I've traced it back to that's the age when it all started for me, was in middle school. And today with social media, things are even more intense. So I feel such a calling to be vocal. I do have a platform because of being on the radio. Why not use it to help other people? And if we can have these conversations and quit associating, mental health with crazy and things like that, then people are more likely to get help if they feel like it's not a bad thing to need help. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
And especially at middle school is just awkward and hard anyway. So if we can get to the youth and have these conversations early, maybe we can prevent them from going down paths that a lot of people have just because they were scared.
Now, what got you on the sofa is kind of an interesting thing.
It is.
So you posted something on social media that your life goal was to be on this show.
Yes.
So first of all, I'm wondering, this is a two-part question. One, how, why? And the other one is what triggered you to want to post that, first of all?
Okay, so first of all, someone at work shared with me that you were doing this show, and I immediately went to the page and started watching videos, and I got really excited about it. And then I started thinking, I have all of these ideas, and a lot of them just go down on paper, and I never follow through with them and just say that would be fun to do. You have done this this is an idea that came to fruition, and I respect that. So I wanted to be a part of it. I was like, he's got something cool going on. It's funny. He's not taking himself too seriously. He's just entertaining people, doing something that he likes, and I want to be a part of it. So that night, I saw the video pop up, and I shared it, and I was like, and I am serious about this. So people started commenting, do it. You know, we're going to make this happen. And then I got a comment from The Weekly Show with David J. Maloney and lost my ever-loving mind. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, and we talked a little bit about hopefully you joining us for a couple of other episodes, maybe as a trusty sidekick, maybe a little announcing for the show.
If you're good with bad jokes, I am all about it.
Well, then let's do it.
All right.
So we got a little
much.
mini partnership now. We'll be back after the break. Miss Johnna Farmer. And we are back. For this week's show, our assistant producer convinced me to do a David's Tips segment because he said he really didn't know what to do if he was in a car accident. So from an Alabama perspective, we're going to talk a little bit about that. This is this week's segment of David's Tips. I wanted to scream "yeah" in the middle of that, you know, because that's the Who's. Don't get fooled again. So for this week's segment, David's Tips, we're going to talk a little bit about what to do if you're in a car accident. And I'm going to do it from an Alabama perspective. So the first thing, obviously, if you're in a car accident, if you're injured, make sure you get help. No lawyer is going to sit there and say, "Oh, call a lawyer first." You want to make sure that if you need health care, you get that health care. If you need an ambulance, get an ambulance. But make sure you get the health care that you need for a number of reasons. One, obviously, if you're hurt, you need to get health care. Two, what's going to happen is some people try to walk it off. And if you try to walk it off, later on an insurance company is going to go, "Oh, well, they must not have been very hurt because they didn't get health care right away." So make sure you get the health care. Second thing is you do definitely want to call an attorney. And the reason why is because insurance companies get to work right away on investigating these claims. One of the things they'll actually do is they may call you and try to get a recorded statement. Do not give a recorded statement to your insurance company without at least consulting with an attorney. And I would recommend actually having an attorney on the line for that, already having hired one before you do that. The next thing that you do is obviously you continue with the health care that you get. If you hire a good attorney, an attorney is going to be able to give you guidance and tell you all the other things that you need to do. When you're at the scene, make sure you take photos if you're physically able to do so, because those photos can often be helpful in proving that the other person was at fault if they later try to change their story and say that they weren't, or in order to be able to prove that there was in fact enough damage to have caused your injuries. Another thing that you're going to want to do is if you're going to miss any work, make sure that you get medical excuses for missing that work. Insurance companies don't reimburse you for missing work just because you say you don't feel well. Remember, you're the one that's asking for compensation. They're not going to believe what you say. They're not going to believe what the lawyer says. But they will pay attention to what the doctor says. So make sure you get the medical excuse from work, and then of course you're going to have to back that up with something from your employer. As far as your property damage goes, a lot of insurance companies will work with you on resolving the property damage before they resolve the injury claim, and those things can be resolved separately. But the best advice I can give you is immediately after you get health care, make sure you call an attorney. And make sure you call an attorney that focuses on this particular area of law. This has been this segment of David's Tips. Tyler? we are back. Tonight we have a special actor, musician, and TV personality most of you will recognize. He was a regular staple on our local news station here on WLOX, has been in countless regional stage plays for both his acting and his obvious singing ability, and was part of the Troublemakers cast in the amazing film Pitch Perfect. Please give a warm weekly show welcome to Mr. Jonathan Brannan.
Man.
Yeah, if I could convince my wife of that, I'd be in great shape.
If you can convince her how to do that, tell me so I can convince my wife how to do it. I have a cat that looks like this. Can I just like hold this and pet it the whole time?
There you go.
Yeah,
we just need to get you like a Nehru jacket so you could be like...
and an ascot.
Yes.
And like, this could be my... What do we have? We have a cigar back here somewhere.
And you can do this and you go, for $10 million.
Why million when you can have 1,000?
So, Jonathan, most people, yeah, there you go. Mine's got water in it, so I'm not going to do that.
That'd be funny if that's one all
messing with my props. So, most people from around here know you from your time on local TV. Mm-hmm. But for those who don't, tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up here, yeah?
Yeah, I grew up, so I'm from the Hattiesburg area, but I grew up on the coast, coming to sea camp, coming to all that good stuff. So when I started working at WLOX, it was like coming back home. And I worked there for 5 years and got to know the community even more than I did. And golly, what a great place we live. I mean, I got to know a lot of people, all the places, and I can't imagine why anybody would want to live anywhere else.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you married your childhood sweetheart, which is something that you don't see people do as much these days anymore.
And you know, we went to our 10-year high school reunion this past year. And I was thinking about it, and I think we're the only couple who started dating in high school who are now married from our high school class. So, I tell my wife we can't call it quits because we're going to be, we're winners, all right? We don't quit, we defeat. So we're doing great, and we're loving life down here, and she's amazing, and our daughter's amazing, and we just love living on the coast.
So how did you get your start in the TV and film business? Was this something that was a passion of yours growing up?
Yeah. So my wife and I actually were both in show choir, did shows growing up, did community theater and all that good stuff. So eventually I got a talent agent and started auditioning for things, and I ended up landing a role in Pitch Perfect, and that was, it was a once in a lifetime thing. Hopefully, maybe it's not, but it was a really, really cool experience. Got to meet all the actors and got to talk with them, and then that, led to even more things.
What would you say are probably the most interesting differences between stage and film?
Oh goodness.
Obviously, the presence of an audience is one.
That's a big deal. Stage and film. Stage would be, and I'm in a chorus line coming up pretty soon. I just finished Mamma Mia in the spring, and the difference in stage and film is that film takes a lot longer, I guess, to actually produce, and there's so many painstaking hours and everything, but there's nothing like the talent and the craft of actually performing live to an audience where you can't say, cut, let's do that over again. You're kind of exposed. And so that's the beauty of stage, is that it's real, it's art. Not that film isn't art, but it is a different kind of art. Very crafted, takes a lot of work.
You said that you're about to do a chorus line. Mm-hmm. You've done Mamma Mia. Mm-hmm. That had to be a bunch of fun, doing all the ABBA anthems and everything.
Oh my gosh, it was a concert. People came, it was pretty much sold out every single night, and it was literally a concert for the entire time. People already know the songs. They were standing up, dancing. The bows, we called it Act 3 because it was like a whole nother concert. So it was a lot of fun, yeah.
Now, you mentioned being in Pitch Perfect earlier. You were able to be one of the Troublemakers, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, it was a real big stretch. You see, I played a senior in college in an a cappella group that was graduating. at the time that I was a senior in college in an a cappella group, and I was graduating, so it didn't take much acting.
Did you get to spend any time with Anna Kendrick or Skylar Astin or any of them?
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, we went and I was actually there during Rebel Wilson's birthday, and we went out to eat for her birthday. It was Rebel Wilson, Anna Kendrick, Adam Devine was there. Everybody was there. The whole main cast, we all sat around this table, and I was like, huh. I do not belong here. Why am I here?
Rebel seems like a really nice soul.
Totally. Yeah, they all would stop and take pictures with you and talk to you about their careers and talk to you about your career and just really cool people. Really, really cool.
Any interesting stories from the set? Crazy things that happened?
There was a masseuse on set at all times. You could have a massage anytime you wanted to.
Okay. That would make my wife happy.
Yeah, so in the scene that I'm in, we're supposed to be in New York at Carnegie Hall. No, the Kennedy Center. And we're actually we're in Baton Rouge at the River Center. And so there were days that there were hundreds and hundreds of extras in the audience, acting as audience members. But then there were days where they couldn't get they didn't want to bring the extras in, so they had tons and tons of cardboard
fake
people. Fake
people.
people.
I love it.
Oh, and they were just all over the place. And then we'd play a game where we'd all turn around on stage. One of us would run out into the audience and try to sit amongst
Hey,
the
Kyle, we need some fake people.
There
Kyle's
you go.
my production assistant. We need some fake people
there
for
you
our
go.
audience.
I'm a producer.
All the same people, though. Make them all the same. Yeah.
So what was your favorite thing about doing a show? Or the film, should I say?
It was just seeing the whole production side of things. Learning that all that was, it was crazy. The amount of work that went into it and the amount of takes that you have to do. And, for consistency's sake in takes, that's another thing that's different about stage and film. In stage, you kind of can, from show to show, you can kind of vary it up. Film, you do it the first time, you got to stick with it. Unless they tell you to change something, you got to do the same thing over and over again.
So a lot of people are sad you recently left WLOX. What do you got? What's in the future? What you got coming up?
So right now I'm doing the marketing and the PR and social media for Tony Petro, an awesome guy. And he's in Hattiesburg, but he's also here on the coast. He has the Nissan car dealership in Hattiesburg, and then he has Petro Chevrolet and Petro Cadillac in Pascagoula. So I'm doing all their creative stuff, like trying to just get the name Petro out there. Petro. So anyway, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of fun stuff with that. And then we're doing a lot of shows. Like I said, my wife is actually in a chorus line that's coming up. We open pretty soon. My wife is playing another stretch. My wife in the show, so we're husband and wife in the show, and it's a lot of fun.
Jonathan, thank you so much for coming.
Dude, David, you are, I'm telling you, I've been seeing your face on TV.
I'm not
celebrity
worthy.
right here. No,
Yeah.
Celebrity. Yeah, that's awesome.
We will be right back. Special thanks to Johnna Farmer for joining us, as well as Jonathan Brannan taking us home tonight. It's Tyler Livingston and the Absolutes with their single, Road's My Home.
Girl, I know, whoa, life on the road, whoa, played a million shows, whoa, it never take my arm.